Welcome back to the Wearable Takeover podcast. This is where we provide a weekly deep dive into technology that's rewriting the rules of how we move, live, and even look. Now, it's July 2026, and if this year has proven anything, it's that wearables have officially graduated from a glorified step counter to the absolute infrastructure of preventative healthcare and predictive sports science. Now, the American College of Sports Medicine just dropped their worldwide data a couple of months ago. And to no one's surprise, wearable tech is comfortably sitting at the number one fitness trend globally. So we're looking at a market that's scaling towards $186 billion. But the real story isn't in the devices. It's actually how they're fading into the background of our everyday lives. And so when we look at smart rings that are managing our long-term resilience to like screenless pebbles built strictly to feed clinical AI data back to our doctors, the hardware is becoming invisible. But when we look at invisibility, it comes with a conversation about data, privacy, and who actually owns the digital reflection of your physical life. So let's look at the headlines from this past week. So to start, Meta was in the news. And they're pushing the boundaries of what their hardware can access. So if you're rocking the Ray-Ban Meta display glasses or the Gen 2 audio frames, the latest version of 126 firmware update brings a major shift. Meta AI can now actively reference and analyze your past Instagram photos to provide deeply personalized contextual assistance. So imagine you're walking into a coffee shop and you ask your glasses to recommend a style. And then Meta AI says, hey, based on the jacket that you wore in your IG photo from last October, these frames match perfectly. And then they suggest something. So it's seamless. It's like fashion, high fashion tech, but then it also reignites the burning fire around data permissions. And so Meta is heavily emphasizing privacy here. However, it also clarifies that the data stays locked to your personal graph unless you explicitly opt out. So, to combat the growing public anxiety over always on face cameras, Meta just introduced an unbypassable physical security feature. The forward facing feature, White Capture LED, the light that blinks when you take a photo, now features automatic tamper destruction routing. So if you try to tape over it, paint it black, or disable the LED, the glasses will instantly brick the camera software completely. So it's a bold design choice. So if the world can't see you recording, the hardware won't let you record. So this brings us to the core mission of this show, which is ethical AI advocacy. And I've talked on many stages about this. As these devices evolve into a personal healthcare operating system, they aren't just reading your heart rate, they're predicting your stress levels, your cognitive decline, and your cardiovascular risk. Now, on the Wearable Takeover podcast, we firmly advocate for three non negotiable pillars of ethical AI in the wearable space. Number one is data sovereignty. Like your biometrics belong to you, not the corporation hosting the cloud. So you should have the explicit right to wipe your health data permanently. Number two, when we think about this, we're looking at algorithmic transparency. So if an AI health coach tells you to go to the emergency room or change your diet, the logic shouldn't be hidden behind a black box. Users deserve clear explanation of the inputs driving these health prompts. And number three, we look at the anti-fatigue mandate. Technology should reduce cognitive load, not amplify anxiety. Now, we love devices like the newly dropped Fitbit Air, a completely screenless Pebble tracker designed to quietly monitor atrial fibrillation and heart rate variability in the background without constantly flashing stressful notifications at you. That is how we use AI to enhance humanity and not to stress you out. Now, let's look at some news that hasn't been covered on this podcast to date. And so, when we think about Dubai. Yes, I remember when I went to Dubai at the launching of the Burj Khalifa. Okay, we're looking at the deep tech sector there at Dubai, and there's a company called Expansio, and it has officially validated their first batch of clinical smart contact lenses. Yeah, let me go back and say that fast. Clinical smart contact lenses. Yeah. So we aren't talking about bulky sci fi visors here. These are actual daily wearable contact lenses that feature continuous glucose monitoring and intraocular pressure sensing. Built in directly into the tear film layer. So, for anyone that's managing diabetes or tracking glaucoma risk in the era of invisible health, this type of monitoring has officially arrived. And then when we look on the research front of this, there's a joint team at Northwestern University that just published a study on their new wearable polygraph bandage. And so it's a flexible skin-like patch that simultaneously tracks sweat response, skin impedance, and minute fluctuations in body temperature to map a real-time mental health stress profile. So this is a huge leap for the hospital at home movement, treating mental burnout with the exact same clinical rigor as physical injury. All right, folks, before we sign off, we shared something on LinkedIn, and I hope that you will support us. The Wearable Takeover, which is the official podcast of Wearable Tech Ventures, the global ecosystem dedicated to wearables. We are partnering with collectively for our annual summer fundraising drive. And so we're really happy that Five Iron Golf is sponsoring a $250 gift card to one of our lucky donors who donates $100 or more during our collective give campaign on August 7th. And so we hope that you support our efforts to produce the best AI boot camp for high schoolers in Baltimore. We're doing this in collaboration with the Mark Cuban Foundation. Also, we're fundraising to support wearable tech founders with a mental health retreat because we realize many of them don't have a W 2, and they don't have days they could take off. They're constantly grinding. So we want to give them that break. And then lastly, we're fundraising to launch our angel initiative and training efforts for investors in our ecosystem. Okay, folks, that's all. Time to turn off your screen, tap into your data responsibly, and we'll catch you next week. Oh, yeah. And the founder stories, they're coming. They're coming. Don't worry. We're excited to share all that with you. All right. Bye.